Where are you flying in from?
So I flew in from upstate New York into Chicago, which I've already done before. But then I went from Chicago to here, obviously. And on the way, you can like see Aspen, Colorado. So you see like the white snowy peaks. And I passed over the Hoover Dam into Las Vegas. So it was like a good route, I would say, for like flying in.
And for the team, where did they come in from?
We kind of all come from like different parts of America. Most of us are East Coast, so like I'm from New York. A few of us are from the Carolinas, and then we have one in Florida and one in Texas. So for the one in Texas, it was still a flight, but it wasn't too far. And we also have one in like Ohio. I guess we don't have like the Upper West, but like in years prior, we would have had somebody on the West Coast. Um, but yeah, I mean like equal distance of travel or time of travel for all of us. So I think we're all in like the same. We were all on like the same operating level. It felt like.
And speaking of Texas, you guys are headed to Dallas later this year for the IEM event and the DreamHack event. Tell me your thoughts
Yeah.
on the crowd changes over there, where it's going to be only crowd for the playoffs, I believe, or the grand final.
It's only for the grand final. I like the change for the grand final, and like it's a privilege to be able to play on that stage. The only issue is you have to qualify to play on that stage, which, considering how other events are run, you'd usually have like the group stage, where they finally eliminate 4 out of the 8 teams. Um, at least like if you were to run it off of like the tier 1 events, those would be played behind scenes where like random spectators wouldn't be around. And then the semifinals and the finals would be played in front of some sort of crowd. And for ESL Impact itself, it used to just be played in front of a crowd no matter what, which was like good experience in general, because like you have people who are inexperienced that don't get these opportunities. So at least like the 1 or 2 opportunities they do get, it's like at least a higher level of quality. But now we're kind of, for some reason, trading off having any group stage or any like low tier crowd just for the final crowd. And I know it's gonna like hit in terms of exposure for the impact scene, like having tens of thousands watching us, like guaranteed, especially on that stream. Um, but it's definitely unfortunate that like we have to sacrifice for some reason. I think like the way ESL operates sometimes is kind of, shake your hand with one of the hands and kind of stab you with the other in terms of some of their decisions. That they'll like do something in good faith, but then, they'll do something in bad faith, it feels, and it's kind of a abusive relationship sometimes trying to solve things with them. Even though I think like there's people in there who are doing the right thing and working the right way. It's just like I don't know what's restricting them from, I guess, like progressing us forward.
And looking at this stage in this current event, what do you think was kind of the factor that made you miss out on the playoff stage, the top 8?
Um, Technically, round of 16 here is playoffs, which is nice because it gives like more people opportunity to get on HLTV. But it also just means like VRS is in play sooner, which is a positive, I'd say. Here, I would say we trolled our group stage. Regardless, we got, I would say, a better playoff seeding than if we had won out our group stage because of what happened between Sharks, Read on Dust 2, or TLDR, I'd hope, about what happened there. Game Hunters, I mean, you saw how close that match was. It was like right to the wire.
Yeah.
A lot of our games recently have been like that. I would say it's kind of just like mental fog. I think a lot of my teammates, they hate when I put it down to stuff like that, but it's kind of hard to justify like, oh, maybe like we're playing the game wrong. It's more, maybe we need to like be better at just working on the game as individuals. We run like a tight ship in terms of scheduling, and it's very important that like we grind in and outside of practice. It feels like we're working a lot better in practice, getting like more intent out of our practice, making sure that we're not wasting time. But I would say like even for myself, there's a bit of like slacking in terms of following through on like bringing stuff ahead of time and not having to like solve things ahead of time. I have like a wealth of knowledge compared to the players, and they too, and on other aspects, but it's kind of fake if like I rely on the fact that I have knowledge from, let's say, 2 weeks ago versus knowledge from this week, or like what's currently happening in the pro scene. But that's kind of how it is right now. Like you have to be super updated. So you have to like mutate every week into a new team in order to like keep up and be competitive. So like long story short, we just need to like do more outside of the server when we're not in practice with each other kind of have like that individual pressure to perform all the time. It's kind of abusive in terms of like, no other industry besides like other sports forces people to do this, but that's kind of what you have to do to beat a bunch of these teams. You just have to be like psychotic with your practice.
And do you think that you guys are improving with more co-ed practice, being able to play in events like these instead of just being relegated to impact and being able to get out there and compete against some of the top all teams?
I would say from our perspective, the impact stuff in terms of like qualifying is the most important, but we're already an advanced team and this is going into our second season. We've been practicing against, main top advanced, even some like bottom ECL teams. It's never been a struggle for us to like get some quality scrims. I just say like the consistency of the scrims, whether it's like the type of team, if they're like an actual practicing team or just a team that likes to just like run it down. And there is a stigma around us, whether it's like just because people don't think that an impact team is like actually serious or something, that we've definitely had like days where there's like 20 people looking for scrims, but we just get shunned out, and it feels a little unfortunate because it's like no offense to these other teams, but like we're one of the few teams that's like consistent. If you were to watch, I would say like 4 or 5 demos per map, you could find out like, oh, they have like protocols, game plan, everything. Like they have multiple game plans potentially, right? And we have a deep map pool. Like a bunch of the teams we scrim don't even have more than 4 maps, which is like, and you need that for BO3s, right? So we have everything a scrim partner might desire, but I think there's just that like stigma in the air just with the impact branding, but we don't see ourselves as that. We kind of see ourselves as like an ESEA team with the privilege of playing external tournaments, right? And we're just kind of just taking every opportunity right now. We're trying to like cut down on officials because we played, I'd say 3 times as many officials in the past month than we did practice days. So it's like that's kind of our biggest issue even then.
And looking towards kind of earlier in the year, you had the Imperial female team coming through in the early events of the year, showing kind of signs of life for female CS. Do you think that that could continue later into the year and into 2026?
Yeah, I think they obviously are like spearheading the co-ed aspect of Impact. I think it's important that like the narrative kind of changes from, Impact teams finally playing open circuit versus they've always been playing open circuit. Like you're able to measure them right now regardless of the Impact events against like any other team. And I think kind of motivating Impact teams to focus on staying in ESEA League and like actually grinding it out versus there's like half of the EU teams, half of the NA teams aren't even actually full-time teams. They're like mixes that just like come together for this 1 time or 2 times a year. And it feels kind of artificial in terms of like, I don't like that the scene isn't like the top 8 from each region that get to play in the online qualifier aspect of Impact. Those should all be official teams. It should not be like, the scene shouldn't be that weak that we have, I'd say like 4 teams as like non-practicing teams. It just feels, it feels kind of insulting in terms of like the opportunity. Like a lot of, I'd say people from North America, considering like the quality of life of not competing is better than competing. If you think about it, like why would I compete if I can just have a real life job? But the people who do care, like I would say that they should probably push for people around them to actually take the game more serious and like hard commit. And like Imperial, they've been together as a core for at least like 3 to 4 years now, and you can see the difference between them and every other Impact team because they understand that like regardless of if they're in a slump or anything, because they've stuck together so much for so long, they have so much wealth of knowledge and ideas that like as long as they can just like tap back into that history of like, guys, we can always just switch to this or do this, like it's just gonna beat out any team. So like we hopefully over time benefit from that too, where like we're gonna try and stay together as long as possible instead of like doing the same NA bullshit where you kick people like 1 week after another. You kind of just have to power through and accept like we're kind of struggling in other aspects, that just picking up different people or like, falling in those, I'd say like roster mania pitfalls, it doesn't help. And also like because of the lack of people who are committed to doing a long-term project, it's kind of like why risk making chop and change like improvements if there's barely anyone out there that's like even willing to hard commit. Like the squad we have right now is very dedicated, and like hopefully people keep that motivation through this season, and like we can reach the off season after Dallas and just like then take our breaks so that we don't lose our minds, you know?
And you touched a little bit on that kind of American idea about how to play CS. And at this event, we have NIP obviously attending. What do you make of that? What do you think of NIP coming in from Europe and playing here in
Well,
Frag?
I think it's like no secret that they came here for the VRS, and like obviously we come here for the VRS, but we also come here because it's one of the few opportunities to play at a LAN in North America. Like it's accessible to a degree. I take it as the scene kind of putting a lot of value in like tier 2, tier 3 tournaments, getting their shot to establish themselves. It gives them a lot more pull to pull in, let's just say, like higher quality teams. Like even the South American teams that we played, although they might not be like the biggest dogs in their region, when they come here, it gives them a lot of confidence, as well as like it puts them over potentially back when they go domestic. Like their ranking will shoot up after this. And I think I like it. I could care less if like the narrative of all these like random EU South American teams are coming over and stealing our fucking points, but like to me it's like, okay, now we get better practice, you know, better opportunities to also show that like comparatively, like you saw today, I mean, Game Hunters like maybe to their region isn't one of the top dogs, but they're still respectable enough where like we took them serious, everybody here takes them serious, and it just shows like, okay, let's say you are like plug and play us in a different region, this is how we measure. I would say for the NIP angle, like they know that they didn't get this major because of VRS, so like they're an org that has the potential to just like, I'd say, invest in stuff like this, even though it may be like high risk, high reward. And that's just the way the scene is right now. If you're not in like the top 20 VRS, you need to like sacrifice and slave for like 3+ months. But yeah, I mean, for us, this is like, whether VRS exists or not, we would be going here anyways. Like it's more in the blood of our team to like try and attempt any LAN playoff, or, you know, just run and get more experience. And this will for sure help in terms of going to Impact, where like you look at the EU teams, they do play a lot of officials as well, but they don't play a lot of LANs. Like you would think that they play a lot of LANs, but they really don't. So I think in that aspect, like we're trying to edge them out on that.
And focusing on a bit of a lighter note, we're here at the Level Up Expo. This is part Gaming Convention and part Fragadelphia. What do you make of the expo itself, all the things going on downstairs?
Every time I go to a Frag event, I'm like really focused on the game itself, but considering this is like encompassed by something much larger, it's definitely like awesome and, you know, wholesome to see a lot of like cool shit, whether it's like gaming or tech related. I haven't had the opportunity to like explore any of this, obviously, because, you know, that's my priority first. But now that we're eliminated, unless if we participate in like a Big L tournament, maybe we'll like go explore. I'm hoping to do some content, meet maybe people outside of the CS scene, and like, you know, get to know new people. In general, I just think it's like an awesome opportunity for Frag to host themselves in like diverse venues. I think it's great when we have like the condensed environments such as the block at the last Frag, but at the same time, like it's important that we kind of push the boundaries of what a LAN event can be, and not like always do the most cookie cutter event. And although this one had so many tech issues, the experience that all the staff will get from this event and like put towards on the future ones, it's going to show in like the next few events. So I think it's just a great like opportunity for not only the players to just like be put under even more pressure when there's so much going on. Like there's a Hatsune Miku concert going on, and I felt like we were good enough to drown it out, which like, again, compared to the EU pros, South American pros, you know, what's that for them? Like, I doubt they have the same experience that we got right here. So,
Yeah, speaking on the tech issues, kind of how did you overcome that mentally, and how did your team really get through that block of the power outages and the internet outages?
I would say God, good faith, and delusion helped us through it. We like, I'm super aware that at each Frag, there's always like the first day hiccups of like maybe an hour to 2 hours. This time it was about like 6 to 7 hours, and it did linger into day 2 so far. But I also have so much faith in terms of like the staff that like they're gonna work their hardest and they wouldn't give up. Also, if you compare it to like Laundersland, and no offense to what happened there, like Laundersland was only a 2-day event, and so they did have to cut the groups no matter what. But if it was a 3-day event like Frag, I think there would be enough leverage for them to figure things out and like work the scheduling around it until they fix everything. And as well as that, like, we know that Frag isn't working in their home environment. This is somebody else's convention center, not theirs. So it's just like you kind of just have to believe in the people around the scene. I mean, these guys have been around for multiple decades. Like, I'm not going to tell them how to do their job. I'm just going to try and not step on their toes, help them out as best as I can as like a pleb, right? And in that sense, like, they ran with it, they recovered, and I feel like, unfortunately, we didn't make day 3, but if we did, I feel like nothing terrible will happen now,
Yeah, I get that. And next question, and maybe the last one. What's in store for you guys next? What are you doing next?
So the two things we're focusing on right now is we have our ESEA Advanced season to work through. Currently, we're 2-3. It's not the greatest start of the season, but it's kind of just like having so many priorities at the same time. It's hard to balance everything. Our idea right now is just to try and recover through the season, make a playoff berth, see what comes of that. But we're definitely more focused on prepping for Dallas. As I said, we have like strong map pool, strong ideas, but I think a lot of it's actually just going to be like not even about the physical gameplay. It's probably going to be stuff like psychology related. I know none of us are like prepared or well equipped with that in terms of, I'd say, infrastructure around us. Like, we have a great org, but we don't have a sports psychologist or something like that compared to the other orgs. But it's definitely like our biggest hurdle to solve, and I think regardless of today's result and what might come in the future, it's just so hype whenever we go to land that people are going to be super appreciative and like proud of the fact that they even qualified, and that's going to push us really far when we get there.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah. In regards to the event itself, I'm super proud of Frag for turning it around. I know how difficult it is to even do the most basic of things, and it looked like they were literally like bouncing off the walls trying to solve issues. In terms of like the more professional teams that were here, if any of them were like complaining, I mean, it's kind of like, get a grip on this. Like, you knew that we were going to be in a like convention center and all that. Kind of have to accept that as a fact. In terms of the opponents, I thought this Frag, there's a lot less shit talk. And it's like a joke that I'm having with the team right now. But it did feel like people were a lot more focused on the game, which also made it feel a little bit more professional. But I would say, like, to the people out there that maybe consider, like, should I shit talk, should I not, or should I have fun with it? Like, don't be an asshole, but, like, banter is really good, and it also kind of opens up the social aspect of CS. Like, I've bantered with many people and become friends with them afterwards, and, like, it's just a good way to kind of break through your shell, which a lot of us struggle with. And then to a last note, I'm very appreciative of my team and the org. Both the players and Supernova have been, I would say, super well receiving to my reception of ideas, and in general, like, everyone's working really hard to make more out of not only our experience right now, but improving the brand and making sure that us as players aren't just a commodity. We're trying to like do content stuff and kind of build value as individuals. So definitely just appreciative. I know right now I'm kind of deadpan stoic, but it's been a long day, and there's still a lot more to do even though we're eliminated. So, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Max.